Shwmae a chroeso I Sgwrs, podlediad Consortiwm Canolbarth y De. Yn y podlediad hwn byddwch chi'n clywed y trafodaethau diweddara am bob math o bethau addysg. Hello and welcome to Sgwrs, the Central South Consortium podcast. In this podcast we'll bring you the very latest discussions on all things education.
So, welcome everyone to our podcast for NQT Induction Mentors. I'm delighted to be joined today by Lauren from Stanwell, and Alison is from St David's Church in Wales Primary. So it's lovely to have a mix of primary and secondary school with us. And my name is Rebecca Roach. I'm the lead for early careers at Central South Consortium, and I have the privilege of being in charge of all the NQTs in our region. So you're both new mentors this year, which is lovely. And I hope you have enjoyed the role this year. I'm going to start, first of all, by just asking you about the professional learning you've engaged in, just to sort of help you prepare for that role. And for me, the mentor is such a key role for the NQT, and you can make such a difference in terms of helping an NQT to thrive during their induction year. So we try and put on lots of professional development for mentors to support them in that role. So Lauren, can I start with you, and just can you tell us what professional learning have you engaged in this year?
Yeah, so obviously it was the induction mentor national briefing. I attended that, and then also the induction mentor the development program. So see, there's been 2 sessions so far, and the third one's coming up now next week, I think, actually. So I've attended those, which were really helpful, and then also the regional meetings, where we go to moderate profiles and to network, which has been, really, really helpful. And then also I've attended a CSC, the National Coaching and Mentoring course, just to help with me, myself as a mentor, to be able to coach my NQT.
Brilliant. So a real range of different types of support.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you in a minute about, what you sort of found most useful. Alison, what professional learning did you attend?
Oh, hi. Yeah, very similar to Lauren. I attended the Induction Mentor National Briefing back in September, which was a great way to sort of introduce into being the mentor. Then I attended the Induction Mentors Development Programme. So I completed session 1, 2, and then session 3, which is coming up next week. I also went to the mentor cluster meetings, which were held locally, and lots of schools just in our little cluster attended, which was an absolute brilliant way of just networking between other mentors and meeting them. And I also attended the CSC coaching and mentoring programme this year as well.
Fantastic. So you've both really engaged with, the full range of professional learning that we've put on offer this year. But I'm really interested in what you found most useful, and, particularly what bits of that professional learning have really impacted your practice as a mentor. So Lauren, do you want to go first for me on that one?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, all of it is really helpful, especially as a new mentor, getting to grips with everything. But I would say those regional cluster meetings where you get an opportunity to network and talk to people who've been doing this for years, and they're really established induction mentors and also external verifiers. You're able to learn from them, which I've found enormously helpful, and also looking to moderate the profiles to know that what I'm doing is right and it's helping my NQT progress and be where they should be in moving forward.
Yeah,
so I've found
great.
those helpful.
And those meetings, interestingly, we put in person this year, whereas all the other professional learning is online. Do you think, was there any difference between being in person?
Hugely. I much prefer doing things face to face. It's just much easier. It just feels more natural, and you can, you just go up and talk to people. Whereas when you're online, it's very difficult. You know, almost impossible to do that because you end up talking over each other. And so face to face, I think, has made a huge difference.
Okay, that's really great to hear. Thank you. Alison, what was your sort of, most useful part of the professional learning?
Yeah, I found both, really, really useful. The development program was great for giving us information, following national guidelines, giving us some schedules and checklists. That was really, invaluable to know. And then again, like the cluster meetings, they really were, the heart of being a mentor. You liaised with all the other mentors and the EVs, talked about your experiences. You weren't afraid to, put your hand up and sort of ask a question, and they were able to help you. If something came up, in one of the, the development program, and you were a little unsure and you wanted a bit of clarifying, they were absolutely brilliant then to clarify that information, and they just provided great advice.
No, again, it's really great to hear. And we put those cluster meetings on once a term. They were during the school day, so they were sort of in the afternoon. And I know that some mentors, struggled to sort of come out of school to attend those. But I don't know whether all the mentors listening to this are aware, but each school is getting funding from the EWC to for that mentor role. And so we're just hoping that schools will see that funding is there to support you attending things like that, because it's great to hear how much you got out of those meetings. Is there any other support that you're aware of that CSC has provided other than the actual sort of meetings and briefings? Is there anything else that you're aware of that has been useful to you this year?
So I've really liked and engaged with the playlists that are available on the CSC website, in particular the Think Like a Mentor resource. So I've found that really helpful and supportive, because there's loads of case studies on there from various different schools on how they approach different things in terms of like the program that they put on in school for their NQT, their training. So it's really good to see what other schools are providing, so that I can amend my program to make sure that I'm giving them everything they need. Also, as a brand new mentor, PLEs were totally new for me, and setting those types of targets. So that playlist I've found super helpful, because I've been able to look at them, get ideas, and be able to support my NQT more fully based on the information that I've found through that handbook.
No, that's great. Again, great to hear. And the Think Like a Mentor resource that you're referring to, it is a fantastic resource. We had some really effective mentors in the system that we'd, identified, and they were so, kind in taking their time to put their thoughts together about, their role and what they do. And put it into that playlist format. So I'm really pleased to hear that that you were finding that useful. And I think because the playlists are from a mixture of different schools, primary, secondary schools, special schools, it means hopefully there's something in there for everyone in terms of mentors coming from different contexts. Great to have your endorsement on that one, Lauren. Thank you. Alison, what about you? Is there anything else that you're aware of that's been useful?
Yes, CSC, you send out monthly updates, emailed as well, which is really great to see. And also then there's the CSC Induction Mentor Network, which is on Teams, which is a really, really useful, especially, not just for those who are new to the role of mentor, but there's lots of information on there. There is examples under the file section. There's announcements, if there's announcements that maybe Rebecca would like to share with you. She'll put it on the announce, and it's really taking all that support and put it there for you to have easy access to, which is absolutely brilliant. You can just open your team and then you'll have that information and that guidance right there at your fingertips.
Yeah, and that's the idea of that team, really. Just particularly in the files section. Did you explore the files in there, Alison?
Yeah, there's loads and loads in those file section. There's advice there for mentors, as well as how to write PLEs, for the to share with your NQTs. There's things like how to the reviews, as well as writing tasks.
Brilliant. Oh, well, it's great to hear that you're finding things useful, because we put a lot of time into sort of creating resources and putting on professional learning, but it's obviously only useful if it's being used by mentors in the system, and that it is meeting your needs. So that's great to hear. Final question for you. I just wondered, because you're both new mentors this year, have you got any particular top tips now for mentors that might be listening to the podcast, or particularly if there are people listening to this who are going to be new to the role next year? What would your sort of top tip be, really? What have you learned from your experience so far? So Lauren, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I've got two. So the first one is to be prepared. I've found that, like I said, I'm new at this, so familiarizing yourself with all the admin that you have to do on the Pebble Pad, with the targets, checking their PLEs, their evidence and things like that, and then also the deadlines, because there are certain things have to be done by certain points, and I have found those bulletins that you send out to be super helpful with that, because you put all the key information in there, what we should be doing and looking out for in each term, and so like I've made a note now of all the deadlines for when the profile should be done and everything. So yeah, so be prepared, use those bulletins to help you, and then the second one then is to know how to approach your NQT in terms of the style. So whether you use a bit of coaching or a bit of mentoring, and just use it as a kind of sliding scale, get to know your NQT. What do they need most at that point? Do they need a bit more mentoring than coaching? And go from there.
Yeah, I think that's really, really good advice, because not all NQTs are the same, are they? And
No.
Some of them may well start the process needing that mentoring approach, needing lots of clear guidance and advice, but they're hopefully not going to stay at that point for the whole year. So no. I think as mentors, we mustn't get stuck in one style. Then we need to start to recognize when we can maybe start to use more of a coaching approach with them, maybe later on in the year, which will help sort of empower them and build their confidence. But equally, you might have an NQT right at the start of the process, who's already really flying, really confident, and could sort of have that coaching approach right from the start. So yeah, I absolutely agree with what you're saying in terms of it being a sliding scale, and being flexible as a mentor to use both of those approaches. So fantastic top tips. Alison, any top tips from you?
Yeah, I say, take advantage that, there is so much support out there by CSC, make use of everything that's, given to you and what's out there. And also, value the importance of being a mentor. It's your role here now this year to develop and nurture your NQTs. And, the importance of that in the next generation of teachers coming through is invaluable. So, just value that importance.
And that's a great message to end on, because I absolutely agree. It's such a privilege, actually, isn't it, to be involved in supporting the next generation of teachers. And it's such a crucial role, as I said at the start of the podcast, in terms of helping our NQTs to really thrive at the start of their career. And you all as mentors play such an important role in that. So to take the role really seriously, as you said, to engage in any support offered can help you do a really effective job. And I just want to end by saying, we are so grateful to all of our mentors, to you, Alison, to you, Lauren, but also all the mentors listening, for the time and effort that you put into the role. And thank you both so much for joining me today. It's been lovely to hear your thoughts, and we hope that everyone listening to this has just enjoyed listening to your comments and have got some things that they can take away to consider for next year. Thank you, everyone.
Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch am wrando ar y bennod hon o Sgwrs. Cofiwch ein dilyn ar Twitter a Facebook, tanysgrifio ein sianel YouTube, ymuno yn cymunedau ar ein gwefan a darllen ein bwletin ysgolion wythnosol am y newyddion diweddaraf. Thanks for listening to this episode of Sgwrs. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, join our online communities via our website, and read our weekly school bulletin for the latest news. Hwyl am y tro. Bye for now.